Tim Burton's Batman dominated the pop culture landscape in the year 1989, reaping huge rewards for DC, Warner Brothers, and anybody else with a piece of the action. So if you were them, wouldn't you want to quickly replicate that sort of success? So in 1992, Batman Returns, in a motion picture called Batman Returns. Tim Burton was not a guy who generally did sequels, and so getting him back for another Batman film wasn't as easy as simply waving a big paycheck in his face. But when the studio agreed that a Batman sequel could be less like the 1989 smash hit Batman and more like a Tim Burton film, and they waved a big paycheck in his face, the sequel was on. Michael Keaton was also having doubts about returning since he'd never repeated a character before. But again, the big check prevailed once again. Of course, when we say big check, it was actually a normal sized check with lots of zeros, lest it reignite the controversy over Keaton's original casting. In this new film, Gotham City is being manipulated behind the scenes by business villain Max Shreck, and when his plans are rebuffed by the city, he attempts to turn the newly revealed gang leader Penguin first into a folk hero and then into a puppet mayoral candidate. Penguin, whose parents abandoned him as a baby, leaving him to be raised by actual penguins, is more lustful and simplistic in his thirst for glory and power, and quickly reverts to his usual gangster mode in a plot to somehow get revenge by kidnapping the firstborn children of Gotham's elite.
My name is not Oswald! It's Penguin! I am not a human being! I am an animal!
You know, I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting something really important with this synopsis.
You know, for a second there, you really frightened me.
Meanwhile, parallel to all of this, Shreck pushes his mousy assistant, Selina Kyle, out of a window, and she's somehow revived by cats and becomes Catwoman, gaining confidence and vim, like a coked up douchebag trying to get you to buy cryptocurrency.
Maybe I'll just give myself a bath right here.
You know, I'm still forgetting something vitally important, but I can't for the life of me think of what it is. Catwoman, for a time at least, has an alliance with Penguin, but she seems more focused on getting revenge on Shreck. You know, there's something else I was supposed to mention, but it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, that's right, Batman's in it, at least for a little bit. Bruce Wayne flirts a bit with Selina Kyle, while Batman flirts with Catwoman. It's not really clear whether Batman would flirt with Selina or Catwoman with Bruce, but anyway.
Hey, Batman, push the princess!
Batman was briefly, and I mean briefly, made persona non grata in Gotham for about, 15 seconds, but regains the trust of the public faster than you can say, Batman regains the trust of the public.
Hey, just relax. I'll take care of the squealing, wretched, pinhead puppets of Gotham.
Batman Returns has an interesting structure of parallel episodes that sort of converge at the end. It's like the exit of a car park after a concert. Also, like trying to exit the car park after a concert, it takes 2 hours to go anywhere.
Don't be naive. The law doesn't apply to people like him or us.
Wrong on both counts.
The end of the film gets a little messy and noisy, in the tradition of most films made in the late 80s and 90s. Also, like a toilet training toddler, a little messy and noisy. Batman Returns doesn't gel in the same satisfying way that the first film did. The new script would have more villains, but fewer supporting characters, and one of those villains would be pulling double duty as Batman's love interest, Catwoman, so that's both, efficient and great for the budget. Sean Young, who had to pull out of Batman, oh come on, we're better than that, really wanted to play Catwoman badly. So much so that in public, she played Catwoman badly, at the studio and on talk shows. Her moxie and gumption impressed the filmmakers so much that they cast Annette Bening.
I suppose you feel better now, sir.
And shortly before filming was to begin, Bening fell pregnant, and so the role was up for grabs. Every actress in Hollywood, apart from Sean Young, was considered before Michelle Pfeiffer was cast as possibly the most perfect Catwoman casting of any feature film.
Meow.
Pfeiffer plays Selina as a sad, lonely woman who dreams of more, and Catwoman as a confident rogue, basically Selina's desires unleashed without the restraint of being a nobody.
So here you come into the bedroom, twitching your little tail.
I wouldn't touch you to scratch you.
Danny DeVito seems pitch perfect as the grotesque Penguin. He's vile and crass, but he's still not a patch on DeVito's finest debauched creation.
Could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood.
It's clear that Jack Nicholson's scene-stealing performance in the first film was on everyone's mind, which is why everyone bar Keaton and returning Alfred Michael Gough go really, really big. Like an IKEA store where somebody says, you know what, this could be bigger. And there's even a third villain of sorts. Max Shreck, played by Christopher Walken, doing a really good Christopher Walken impersonation. Clearly not enough cowbell, but this was 1992.
Shows what you know, mister. To the manor born with a silver spoon. Oswald is Gotham's new golden boy. If his parents hadn't 86'd him, you two might have been bunkies at prep school.
It's a film full of exaggerated performances, but it just manages to keep things from getting to, G-rated kids movie goofy.
I mistook him. Yeah. Isn't that what I said?
No, I don't think so.
Batman Returns is a dark film in terms of its tone, with Gotham City seeming less grim, yet slightly more colourful than the previous film. Its cinematography and lighting is definitely a step up from the earlier movie.
Yeah.
Batman Returns looks different, partly because it was filmed in Los Angeles rather than in the UK. It manages to look brighter and darker at the same time, but by now the edict to avoid comparisons to the 60s TV show seems to have been forgotten, because the film definitely leans towards over the top. I mean, it's got Michelle Pfeiffer channeling a cat.
I am Catwoman. Hear me roar.
Penguins with rocket launchers strapped to their backs, and Christopher Walken.
Frankly, I cringe, Mr. Mayor.
How could it be anything else than goofy?
How could you? I'm a woman.
I'm sorry,
After rewatching it, I have to say it is a pretty decent film, but just not up to the level of the first film. Like a 5'1" 8-year-old who's the second tallest kid in the class, but the tallest kid is 7 foot and 26 years old. I think he's a cop.
You got kind of a dark side, don't you?
No darker than yours, Bruce.
Batman Returns released in the summer of 1992, and it was a successful film. It was still the top earner at the US box office for that year, but its takings were also way down on the first film, and with a much higher budget to boot. Reviews weren't glowing compared to the first film, and people took issue with it in various conflicting ways.
They freaked.
With the most obvious criticism, Batman and Bruce Wayne are barely in the film, with Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito and probably Christopher Walken getting as much if not more screen time than the hero. And they're all good and watchable in their scenes, it's just that the movie as a whole does seem to be missing something, and yeah, the obvious answer is Batman. He has very little development in this and only a little returning.
2 lives left. I think I'll save one for next Christmas.
So you get a film with a relatively unsatisfying plot with a hero that's almost a guest star, a movie that is enlivened greatly by excellent scene-chewing performances from the villains, even if there are too many. I like it, but I just don't love it. It's like tap water.
Why are you now determined to prove that this penguin is not what he seems? Must you be the only lonely man-beast in town?
Batman was too valuable not to do more, but the studio became a little passive-aggressive on the idea of Burton continuing in the director's chair. He wasn't fired, but he also wasn't not fired. He was encouraged by the studio to make more personal films. It's a bit like when your partner, just before Valentine's Day, suggests you see other people. Reading between the lines, Burton went off to make other things, and despite being a continuation of the series, the next Batman film would go in a very different way with a new director and even a new Batman.
The thought of busting Batman makes me feel all dirty.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below or check out some of our other videos.